Hey, everybody. Those of you who have listened to me for a long time know that I'm generally a fan of the iBuying business, a statement that's brought a lot of criticism my way. And basically, my point is that the way we buy and sell homes is going to be a lot different in 20 years from now than it is today. And a lot of people kind of agree with me on that point. But the question is iBuying a viable business model today? And if you were to look at the stock price of Opendoor, ticker symbol OPEN this year, it's more than tripled so far year to date. More than tripled. Now, to be fair, it's still 90% off of its SPAC frenzy peak. Um, but a triple is a triple. Um, so there are some good reasons for that. But just generally, Tyler, have I been proven wrong on iBuying?
I'm going to throw some cold water really hard on you here. I mean, I'm guessing that's why you brought me on to talk about iBuying. It's because you wanted somebody to be a sparring partner here. But I just I keep looking at it and I'm looking at the financials and yeah, their free cash flow number is apparently up, and their margins are improving slightly. But the thing that I just keep looking at is that, right, all this has basically been balance sheet harvesting because the market has been shrinking. It's been buying fewer homes than it's selling, and so its balance sheet's been getting smaller, and that's why it's throwing off that cash, not because the business is profitable and it's growing and they're making a return on these investments. For the most part, on a net profit margin basis, they're still selling these homes for a loss. And so when I look at this, I go, yes, you're right. We do need to find a better way to sell homes, but the way that Opendoor is set up specifically, I struggle with it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think they're making a lot of the right moves. The short answer is the stock's up because the numbers have been less bad than people thought they would be. Um, Opendoor's biggest problem, business model aside, their biggest problem numbers wise, is that their peak home buying volume took place during the peak of the real estate bubble in 2022. They acquired more homes during the April to August period in 2022 than they did in any 3 month period before. So, or 4 months, whatever that is. So there are fewer than 1% of those homes. There was 20,000 or so homes were purchased in that time. There are fewer than 1% of those left on the balance sheet. So the bull argument is okay, they've worked through the worst of their inventory, the stuff that they really overpaid for. And now they can just get back to what they started out doing, which is trying to find houses at a good deal that are in need of cosmetic repairs and flipping them. Now, the question in my mind, does that make Opendoor a much more niche business than we thought it was? If the main way they can make a profit is to focus on that subset of the market that where sellers need to sell quickly, the home needs some repairs, and there's a nice profit to be made by turning them around. So that's kind of my biggest thought. And then there's, which I know I've talked to you about before, the Zillow partnership. I've said Zillow needs to get out of iBuying and be the kayak of iBuyers. Well, they didn't really take my advice. They partnered with Opendoor, and now that they've rolled it out, they just launched 10 more markets. You can now get an Opendoor offer directly through Zillow in 26 markets. I think that's a great move for both companies. We'll see if it actually pans out to anything, but I don't know. I'll stop rambling. Tyler, do you think Opendoor is much more of a niche player than we thought it would be if it's going to be a profitable business?
Yeah, it's look, the home flipping business in a general sense is a has been a profitable business. Typically the net return on investment. I believe it's Atom Data Solutions. They do a lot of research on home flipping specifically and kind of short-term profits. The typical return on investment annualized for house flipping is about 30%. It's actually quite good, but it does require that little bit of extra elbow grease, buying unloved houses, flipping, putting some material changes into them. And that's where I wonder if maybe that's where they might be able to do that is if you can take the home flipping model and scale a little better, maybe it's not just paint, it's a little bit more repairs, a little bit more of an upsell into the business, and actually have some value add into what you're doing with these houses. I think you might be onto something a little bit more there, but just being this, uh, warehousing houses and slapping some paint on them and hoping to flip them in a few days I don't see that working.
Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.